And then you don't rely only on rock stars, but you can rely on good processes with the right people. And if you have the good mixture, that's the perfect match, right? It's like a discovery part. If you know the desire of the person, that's how you can make sure that they can go to the next level. Selling a human to another human is not easy.
Welcome to the Revenue Discussion Podcast. This podcast aims to inspire and educate the newest generation of revenue leaders on various subjects related to sales, marketing, revenue operations, and customer success. Every week, we invite an inspirational guest who is willing to share his or her insight, strategies, and tactics that has worked or are still working for him or her. Today, we invited Harold Roquet to the show. Harold is head of SMB Sales lead at Deliverect. And for you who don't know Deliverect, it is one of the few Belgian unicorns with a valuation of 1.4 billion US dollars. It was founded in 2018, and 2 years later, Harold has joined the team to embark on a hyper-growth journey. When Harold joined the team, they had just raised $150 million, so you can imagine what for crazy adventure he embarked on. We asked about his journey, and I hope you'll enjoy this episode. Hey, good afternoon, Harold. How are you doing?
I'm really good. What about yourself, guys?
Excited to deep dive into your story, to unpack your story, to talk about Deliverect. But maybe before we start doing that, can you please tell the audience who you are, where you're from, what you're doing exactly?
Okay, so my name is Harold. I'm 32 years old. I'm running the SMB sales for EMEA at Deliverect. Deliverect is based in Ghent, but I'm a Brusseler, so I still live in Brussels for the moment. Yeah, that's it.
All right. So can you please tell?
So we have two Brussels people on the call.
Exactly. Brussels Central here. So
Exactly.
Harold, can you tell me exactly, how you started at Deliverect exactly, and how your job kind of has evolved until the step you're now?
Sure. I think like we need to be to go a bit more about the past as well, because it's the past that made me come to Deliverect, right? Because I was working in Canada, and because of the COVID, I was a sales manager in Canada for a company called Golo, which was a delivery platform really local to Montreal.
Okay.
And because of the COVID regulation, we had to stop our operations. And after 5 years living abroad, that was the moment where I was like with my wife, maybe it's time to go back to our homeland. And because I was already in the DSPs, I could hear about Deliverect. So I spoke to Zong and Jerome, who are the founders.
How did you know them?
I was looking for whatever the scale-ups and startups which were booming in Belgium. So I wanted to work in something which was fast-paced.
Okay.
So I got in touch with them, and then they made an announcement about making a Series B fundraising. So I congrats them, and then they told me like, hey, by the way, we're looking for SMB sales manager, and that's how I started almost 2 years ago in July at Deliverect.
Okay, because was to go back to your Golo experience, was that also kind of a fast-paced, fast growth environment?
I would say it was less fast-paced than Deliverect and less fast-paced than Uber Eats that I faced really at the early stages. But it was also like a startup that we wanted to boom, but we were really stopped by the COVID, unfortunately. We were too small to fight against the restrictions.
Interesting.
And why do you like this fast-paced environment so much?
Fast-paced is because there is not a day like another, right? So it can be tiring sometimes, but the good thing is like you feel that first you have an impact, and you have an impact on every day, right? So for me, that's the most important thing that at my job is to feel that I have an impact within the company, that I'm being heard by the other management or collateral department. So fast-paced is that, and also that there is a fast decision making, right? So if we want to launch something, if we need to implement new things, it's not a process which is lasting for 3 to 5 to 6 months, right?
Right.
We align between a couple of days and then boom, let's do it.
Yeah, and I think that probably you also as a person grow much faster, or in certain aspect at least, you can grow much faster. And I think as a salesperson, you can really benefit from experience those fast and high growth times that you're just living in. Can you
Completely.
maybe can you
Sometimes,
maybe
go ahead.
can you maybe kind of give some numbers in terms of fast pace, because for different people that can mean something different. I don't know what can you share really about it,
Yeah.
but it could be helpful.
Yeah, actually it's a good question. But the example we can have is fast pace at Deliverect is when I joined Deliverect, we were 50, so it was 18 months ago, right? Now we are approaching the 500 people. So it's
What, from 50 to 500?
yes, it's pretty odd. Almost 500. So I think the correct number is about 460 something. Yeah, so that's really fast paced, right? So it's a lot of people
I
coming
agree.
in week by week. On the sales side, we started with we were 3 sales for Ghent, and now we are 23. We have also a team in Toronto with 25. We have people now in Dubai, Mexico, Australia, right? And everything, all the other region except one person in Toronto did not exist, right? So that in 18 months, it's pretty rapidly, right?
Right. And you were at the beginning of that hyper growth phase of Deliverect, right?
Just at the start, just at the
Just at the
start,
start,
right?
just
So
the
I was the
very good timing.
exactly. Yeah,
So
there
tell
is
me
a
what
kind of it's lucky, yeah. It's also lucky, but yeah,
I
indeed,
I mean, you have to search for luck, and I think that's exactly what you did. But can you
exactly.
maybe share kind of your experience during that fast and hyper growth phase of Deliverect? What were your biggest challenges as a sales leader for the SMB sales?
Uh, I would say the first thing is when I joined, I just discovered that all sales processes, everything in HubSpot, it was in fact a desert, right? There was in fact nothing, no
Mm.
process, nothing was implemented, no training, no structure, no career path, everything, right? So we had to create everything from scratch to make sure that we go to a scalability, right? Which is the most important for me within the startup is the scalability, and to make
Hmm.
sure that we were building the right processes to have the people joining after. I do believe that when you have the sales process implemented in the right way, then you have already a chance that you can do 60 or 60% of your sales with an average team, right? And then you don't rely only on rock star, but you can rely on good processes with
Hmm.
the right people. And if
And
you have the
those
good mixture, that's the perfect match, right?
and those processes, do you have to change them often within your organization, or is it pretty steadily over the years?
I would love that the process remained the same all the time, all right? So I would say the strong base it remained the same, right? It remained the same. We have to adapt to local regions, new products that we are releasing. So the process I constantly being upgrading, I would say, but the base is the same. We are for the moment even looking to reshape the basis to accelerate our velocity and our scalability for the future also.
Well, you're also the one that had to recruit for your sales team.
Yeah, it was to be honest, it was a hell of a mission at the beginning. For the first 8 months was really tough because we had to recruit. I think we recruit about 15 people in 8 months. We had to implement processes, and until we had a sales manager in Toronto, I had to run the North American region. So it was indeed a lot of things to do at the same time to accomplish what we wanted.
I can imagine, and especially when you start with three sales reps. So tell me a little bit more about you know if you enter the phase that you get that fundraising, that can you maybe repeat also the number that got raised back 18 months ago?
Yeah, 18 months ago it was 40 million.
14 million. All right. So
Yep.
what, you get that big check of 14 million and you can start scaling the company. Where do you start? What do you start with? Where do you go?
The first thing I did it was to build really the processes. And by building up the processes, it will give me the visibility about where do I need the people. What
And
is
how
the
long does that
limit of
take to define the process?
So I started in July, and I think by the end of summer, everything was kind of installed.
Okay.
Then we had to recruit the people as a second phase, right? So first quarter was implementing, analyzing, observing what's happening within the company, making some changes, and then having the right people in the last quarter of the year, right? It was the Q4, and that's where obviously we were also helped by the COVID. It's unfortunate, but it did help the business of Deliverect, and we need to take it into account. But that's the moment where we multiplied the sales by 5, right? When we process, we put everything. So from summer from the quarter of the summer to the quarter of the end of the year, we multiplied the sales by 5, just be with the process and with having like three person added to the team.
I have a question in regards to like the global structure of like the sales structure, I would say, because you were just saying like we have in Australia, we have in, I would say, Singapore, you said, I don't know where, but like all those places, is there a certain reasoning behind it that you go instantly that global before, like, for example, building first the EU very big and then scaling out?
Yeah, I would say the reason we went also international is Deliverect showed some reliability about the system, right? So at that moment, that was not on my side because I'm running much more the SMB, but the enterprise team did a really good job. And we could conclude contract with international companies where they have international location. We had also global partnership with some system of POS that could ease our spreading and expanding in the region. So we were just like looking at where are the regions where we have the big enterprise guys, and then let's go there and develop then the sales region and SMB is part of the sales strategy, right?
Was that also part of your responsibility?
No, not enterprise. Enterprise is really with so the enterprise are dealt by the enterprise salespeople, reporting to general managers within a region, reporting to Jérôme, who's our CRO.
Oh yeah, okay. Can you give examples of enterprise clients? Because in the context of Deliverect, I see it more as an SMB type of service, but you say you have enterprise clients. So I'm kind of curious.
So we have KFC, Taco Bell, all the brands from Yum.
All right.
KFC, Taco Bell, Burger King. Yeah, these are already big brands, right? Which are spread all over the globes. We're missing a couple of ones, but it will come, right?
Definitely. Yeah, because what's the the next milestone for Deliverect in terms of growth? Because you say you came from 50 to 500, so I'm kind of curious now.
Our goal is to have 100,000 location by next year. Not this year, but then the end of 2023. Our goal is to have 100,000 location, and that would have been done in like 3 years and a half, which is pretty big for SaaS companies in the food tech, right?
Right, because to put it in relative.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I was just wondering about you said 100,000 locations, but how many locations do you have right now? If you can disclose that number.
Yes, we are. Our goal is to get the 40 this year, and we are about 25, 30 in the range.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the growth of Deliverect in comparison to some like a company like Uber, because you did Uber the beginning phase and Deliverect. Do you see very similar cases, or is it very different in the way they grow and how they grow?
I would say there are similarities, but there are also some difference, right? So Uber was supported by huge funds, right? Where huge funds with the desire to gain the market ASAP. So they did hire a lot of people locally and then they centralize everything, and then they re-localize everything. But there are similarities because of the sector, obviously. But one of the difference between the two is the complexity of Deliverect compared to Uber, right? Uber is a solution that can be adopted by all restaurants, where Deliverect, we need to have a couple of integration to make sure that we work with the restaurants as well. So it's more complex, but the desire to gain the market and to be the number one solution adopted by the restaurant industry as an aggregator is the same desire. I can see a lot of similarities, in fact, in the culture and how the people want to go to the next mile as well.
Deliverect is a Belgium-based company. Do you think they will ever move out of Belgium and be more elsewhere, or do you think it doesn't make any sense and they can rather stay in Belgium?
I think it's that will be really a decision on the founders. Knowing them, they have strong roots in Ghent. They have the proud to be a Belgium startup, not a startup, but a Belgium company, right? And probably in the future there will be some other headquarters, but the main ones will remain probably for sure Ghent. Especially with the number of people that we have here, it's definitely the office where we have the most employees on the globe. Yeah.
Very cool. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the sales structure because you started with 3 salespeople. Now I suppose you have much more people. Do you have thought out of the sales structure that you should work with, and how does it look like?
Yeah, so when we started, in fact, the salespeople, it was a mix of hybrid roles and people specific, right? So the first thing that we had to do, we rely for a full year, we rely only on inbound. Okay, so it was only inbound, we were not prospecting.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
So strong marketing from that side.
Strong marketing and a strong work from the partnership team. So the partnership giving us referrals, right? So it was based on that. So we had to make sure that we can cope with the volume of inbounds that we have, and to make sure that we can filter, qualify leads, right? So it's the concept of the MQL going to an SQL. So we had to specify to make the role specific. So we implemented the role of being an SDR, who's the person who's qualifying, and then giving the demos to an account executive. This is not a revolution, it's like SaaS business, right? But it was not that implemented. And we kept that structure, and we make grow the SDRs, and then we make grow the AEs per countries, and we duplicate the same thing in North America, which is working still the same way now. So that's what we do. Regarding the structure now, what we decided for the moment is not to make an organization, a management based on countries. We decided to make a management based on roles. So we have a team lead for SDRs, we have a team lead of account executive. The reason why we wanted to do that is because we wanted to make sure that everyone works the same way. Because if we centralize and we want to work on the scalability, that was one of the things that we wanted to keep, to make sure that everyone stick to the same process. So it's easier for finance, for customer success, for everything, for data decision taking. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to go on that side.
Okay. And what's to you the secret sauce of success of Deliverect? Is it the product? Is it the commercial engine behind it? Is it something else?
To be honest, I think it's a big mix of everything, right? If our product was not strong, we would be
Customers
threatened probably by churn. Exactly, they would leave. And that's one of the metrics that we need to obviously keep an eye on every time. So that product is key. Customer success, the way we onboard, always to make sure that we quickly onboard customers. Sales being obviously consultative, marketing generating leads, making the brand awareness. So it's a whole mixture of everyone. Everyone was part of the success of Deliverect. There is not a single person who is not included in that on my side.
You were just saying that the sales process is the same over all countries and all regions, but isn't it then sometimes difficult with all different cultures you're dealing with? For example, Australia with, I'd say, the US, it will already be different. So
It's actually a good call, right? Because what we wanted to stick, it was the whole same process for everyone. Then we saw that there were some difficulties among some market and some limitation in the thing, and we had to adapt, right? So for example, in Spain, it's a market where the people want to really see people face to face, so we cannot really sell centrally. So we decided to have some people on the ground as well to be able to help. So we have a dedicated team on the ground. There is the same thing with Dubai, which is probably something that will move in the future, because there is also some time difference, but it's also definitely another language, right? So we are seeing some differences per region, but our goal is always to try to find the solution, but that makes sense for a central process which is scalable at the long term. If we start giving really pure ownership about creating new processes in regionally, then we're gonna lose pace and we're gonna lose velocity at some point. So we try to always make sure that we stick together, and that's a challenge and a work that we are doing for the moment in the hyper growth we have.
And is that a lot of trial and error, or did you get help somewhere to know how to enter certain markets?
So we have in the markets, we have already a general manager who's present, who's the key person for us to give our information about the market, about the culture, about how it's better to work on. And we try to align together to have a win-win situation between everyone, to make sure. But we have person on the ground which are giving the right information, which is key.
Okay, interesting. And what are for you now the biggest challenges now that you work in a total different organization as 18 months ago? What are for you the current biggest challenges?
Good question, Dylan. The biggest challenge is to make sure, when we face a hyper growth like we had, right? So growing by 400%, we need to make sure that what we've built in the past is in fact enough strong and solid to go to the next level, right? So we face that growth. So for the moment, that's the challenge we have. It's like making sure that what we've built in the past is going to go to the next level with the adaptation. So it's to see much more with a micro view, not only on sales, but in fact what I'm doing in sales can be impact, and we need to make sure that there is the communication between departments and the vision is done in the right way, right? So I would say that's the challenge that we're gonna have this year, to make sure that we can go for the next year, which is the biggest boom that we wanna achieve, right?
Do you feel that you are more a data guy now compared to at the beginning where you were perhaps more a salesperson?
To be honest, I was not from the SaaS environment, right? So I was not really data driven. I had to read Sales as a Method from Jaco, right? So the people from Winning by Design, to really understand the challenge of SaaS. And Jérôme, the CRO, helped me in understanding everything. So to be able to take the right decision, we need to have the data. Data is super key. And in fact, when I was at school, I had math, science, and everything. When I see my job where it's looking at a lot of numbers, a lot of ratios, etc., I find like I'm pretty passionate about it. So there is a data management and awareness that we need to have. So yes, to be honest, yes.
Definitely. So you were not someone that liked doing math at school, but now you kind of appreciate the power of data. That's what you're saying.
I think I was one of the worst person, to be honest.
Well, yeah. At the end, sales is a numbers game. So definitely you need to know your data. You need to know the numbers and the ratios and the KPIs and stuff like that. I mean, it's not only that,
Indeed.
but it's an important part of the business. Definitely.
Exactly. Completely
Can you
agree.
maybe also tell a little bit more about being from a beginning sales person and you became a sales manager, but now I can imagine you can call yourself a sales leader. Do you see also some leadership elements coming back now? And have you seen also a transition from being just I mean, a person of a team to now also becoming a leader that needs to develop new leaders?
Exactly. And I would say it's another challenge that we have, right? So there is always the perception of the sales about what are the sales people doing at every step. So when I was a sales, I was looking at sales managers saying like these guys are in meetings, what are they doing? They just get out of the room and shout, sell more, right? Um, but then on my side, when I was a salesperson, based on my experience, I really wanted to be focused on the people. That was the key thing. As sales for the salespeople, and that was easy because I was in that zone, right? I knew I did sales for 4 years, so I was kind of know what they can expect from a sales manager and adapt my style to the different people. The next position when you are, as you said, a sales leader and you need to develop, in fact, sales managers, that's a new challenge for me, right? It's the first time I'm doing it. It's to make sure that your vision, your strategy, what you have in your mind is in fact well understood by the people that you have, and they can insufflate the way you want to the people. So that's the new challenge to do and to be aware of.
And how do you improve then as a leader? Are there certain things you do?
Trying to get feedbacks from them, right? When I did some personality test, one of the things is like they said I was an integrator, right? So it means that my energy comes from the energy of the other people. So when I feel that I've got some blocker or I feel that the people are not well understood, I can feel it and it's annoying me. So I have really my success will go for the success of the others. So when it's not the case, I'm trying to understand how we can be better. And sometimes we need to look at ourselves before pointing the others, right? So if the message was not correctly transmitted by my sales manager, in fact, did I communicate it well? Did I give the right context to him, to the person? So I think like we need to always re-challenge ourselves about how we communicate before assuming that the message was not spread by your sales leaders on your side.
Instead of asking question to your team, ask also question to yourself, whether or not you
I think
communicate it well, you understand it well yourself, and stuff like that.
I think it's like I'm trying to always like self-reflect about myself and try to do a step back and say like, okay, so it's not working. Why it's not working? It's not maybe only the people. It's maybe just myself. Sometimes the message you give can be not well understood, so you can lose a couple of results just because of a message that you didn't give in the right way, right?
Mm-hmm. Linked to to sales leadership, but also sales management. Is I mean, the thing that I want to talk about now is, what's the word for it? It's attrition and just employee retention, just keeping your team within Deliverect. Do you see that? Is that some type of challenge within Deliverect, or maybe because you are a growth, a fast-growing scale-up, you may benefit of people growing with the company, and maybe perhaps that's why they don't want to leave. What's your experience on that?
Yeah, the experience that we had is we wanted to build on the people that we have within the team, right? So it's also a risk, right? Because promoting people from who has an experience of 1 or 2 years going to be a sales leader, right, or team lead or manager, it's also a risk on my side. But because I had this blockage when I was working for amazing companies, I couldn't grow. I was so eager to go to the next level. I wanted to give the possibility to the people to go to the next level, and that's something that I want to keep for the future. And I think that's impacting positively the retention that we have within the team as well. We didn't experience levers apart from a team it's an outbound strategy that we started, but from the basis on the inbound side, none of the people left, which is good in 18 months. It might happen in the future, right? But I think like the good thing about Deliverect is that there is such a strong culture brought by the founders. There is such a cool product to sell, a good sector, and to work for a unicorn in Belgium, there are not a lot. So I think the people understand like
Exactly.
where they are also, which is helping as well, right?
Yeah,
But
I think it's a charm being able to work for, a unicorn. And again, as I said earlier, I think that when the companies experience high growth, I think you as an individual also experience that high growth. And I think individual ultimately what they want to do is learn, be challenged, grow. So I think this is kind of a charm to work for a unicorn like yours.
I think so. But in a unicorn, for the people who work in unicorn and scale up and startup, you know that not every day is the same. Process might be blocked. There might be some stuff. I mean, it's not for everyone as well, right? It's kind of you need to be there is a need of having kind of a DNA to be part of that because it's it's hyper growth and you need to follow that, right? But
And
Yeah.
you were just saying that you upgrade people from out your team. What do you then look for in a person that's not like now a salesperson and is going to a management level? Where do you look for? Because I assume a good salesperson is not a sales manager for sure.
a super good call, right? So I think like when you are a top biller, let's call it top biller, there is two paths. You remain a top biller and you go to much more bigger deals such as enterprise, etc. Or you have the passion to go to the management, right? So um, what I'm looking for the people, it's the same thing that I'm looking for SDRs, AEs, etc. For me, it's the key thing is about the motivation and the eagerness to learn, right? If you have the drive and if you are passionate about what you're gonna do, you know that you will bring success at some point, right? So there is like really a mental thing that I'm looking among the people to make sure that I've got the right people to be part of, and the confidence, right? These
Mm.
guys, sometimes you can have a bad day as a sales manager. It can happen. Normally, we should never say our mood, but it can have a day where you need to say whatever to your managers, but they need to be your supporters as well. They need to be your listener. So it's a manage your manager as well. So that's these are the things I'm looking for. It's really motivation, eagerness, listening, and trust from the leaders.
And what's in your case? What are your next aspiration, next ambition? Is it to lead an even bigger team, or just to continue do what you do, but that you keep the high base like you do right now, or what is it?
Good question. To be honest, the first thing I want to do I want to do now is make sure that the mission that we have on our website is we want to deliver a burger to the moon, right? That's the mission that
I
we
love it.
we have. But what we want to do is make sure that I can absorb everything from the leaders I'm meeting, right? To have a close relationship with the founders is key for me. But really want to make sure that the team keeps growing and we achieve the targets. Then outside of that, I don't know. In the 5 years, 6 years, I don't have a lot of vision. I'm just like super happy at Deliverect. Maybe to be an external consultant for startup, maybe being a general manager in a country for another company, launching my own business at some point. I don't know, but to be honest, it's all really primary thoughts. I'm just like focusing on Deliverect because it's taking 120% of my time already.
And
So
that's the journey, and that's what you should be. I mean, living in at the end, not a clear goal that could change after a couple of
exactly.
months or a year. Um,
Yep.
love it. I had a question also about you said that culture is very important, and recently I attended a session with Pieter-Jan Bouten, which is one of the co-founders of Showpad, also one of Belgian successful scale up, if I can say it like that. And he said that
Yes.
culture is one of the most important thing that you need to scale with the company, because you can bring people into your company and everything needs to go fast, but if you there have a mismatch with values and respect for each other, then it just can it can destroy the company. So do you also have that feeling that culture is something that is kind of underestimated as an important element inside a scale up?
For for me, it's key. And to be honest, culture and making sure that the person has also equilibrium on the personal side, right, is key. And I think that that's something that the good thing with the founders is some experience to work in Canada, as I did, and there is also this type of culture in the startup is really super important, right? So they base a lot on the culture. For me, there is no way that you can achieve big things if you don't have a strong culture. There is no way. But it's something that needs to be always challenged as well, right? Because you can have the right culture, like we had 18 months ago with 50 people. Now there is a 460 people. So the culture needs to remain the same, even if we have much more people out in other countries, not working at the headquarters, right? So
Right.
it's an ongoing challenge, and I do follow Mr. Peter on that for sure.
So how do you preserve then that culture when you scale? Then is it just about repetition, or is it also who do you recruit?
I think there is the key thing. If you want to make sure that your culture is not impacted, you need to make sure that who you hire are the right people fitting to the culture, right? So I remember when I joined Deliverect, I had a couple of interviews, but there was also an interview with Ingrid, and Ingrid is a person who is an external consultant assisting the founders about making sure that we keep the culture of Deliverect, right? And so
Okay.
for the management position, she is involved in the process to make sure that does that person have what we call at Deliverect stardust, right? If we have the feeling that stardust is kind of the Deliverect DNA, right?
Okay.
If the person have that feeling, like we know that we're gonna be on the same page with the founders, and we try to make sure that the culture keeps going, right? So it goes from founders as a culture, then the management, and as manager, we need to make sure that we're trying to find the right attitude among the people we are hiring as well, which is
Interesting.
not easy to find in interviews, right? But
No, because that's what I want to ask now. Is that how do you define then culture? Is it just a couple of values that you need to see again in the people that you want to recruit, or is it much more than that? Is it a personality test as well?
so during the interviews, I'm being pretty casual, right? So we make sure if we make sure that we are casual interviews, the person can speak much more about themselves, and I'm trying to assess really what would they be passionate about and what they want to achieve as a person. And I'm expecting some answers such as I want to have an impact, I want to prove myself, I want to learn every day, I'm super target driven. These are the skills that I'm looking for the people. And when I have that, I know that I can tick some boxes. And sometimes I rather prefer to have someone who's a new grad from the uni than someone who had experience for 6 months or 1 year from another company. If the mentality is much more fitting with what I'm looking for.
Oh yeah. I like that you say that, because I still see a lot of companies when it comes to sales that they just look at, I want to have a fast onboarding, so I want to have people with experience because they understand processes, they have they know that what their sales are all about. But at the end, I also believe that recruiting for fit instead of skills is kind of the way to go.
I think so too, to be honest.
Have you total other topics, but have you ever had mentors that have been challenging you and have brought you to the position you're now in?
Yeah. My first mentor, my first manager when I was out of school, because I studied law, right? And I wanted to do international. Really, I just did the bachelor. I was not a uni person, so I went to high school. And I wanted to earn some money to be able to pay a private master to be in international relation, diplomacy, whatever, right?
Okay.
So I went to an interview to be a headhunter, and then I met Alex Goyens, who was my first mentor that I met, and in fact he understood me so well, he could drive me so well that I was hustling like hell, right? I I was buying, and I was, and then I was like,
He made you hustle, so
he made, yeah,
he
he knew
motivated
me.
you or he manipulated you. What is it?
I think there is a line between the two that's you don't need to cross, obviously. But
Right.
it's like in sales, right? It's like a discovery part. If you know the desire of the person, that's how you can make sure that they can go to the next level. And he completely understood me, and that for me was the first mentor that I'm trying to keep some aspects that he
So
And
really.
what?
is it thanks to you that you also ended up in sales? Or,
Sales, it's kind of weird, right? I was a headhunter. Headhunter in Belgium is not seen as a salesperson. We have the etiquette of being a recruiter, but to be honest, it was a hell of a job as salesperson. But the first really sales job that I had was when I was at Uber, starting from the as an SDR from the bottom.
You see,
and how
not
did
in
you then
Belgium.
recognize that? Okay. So yeah,
Yeah,
how
sorry.
did you recognize then that headhunting is then sales? Was it then because you went abroad that you recognized like, oh, this is more of sales, and then
No,
continued in it?
no. So when I went to Canada, obviously to get a job, I wanted to stop headhunting, but when you have a CV with a headhunter's name, it's super tough to start from another industry, right? You have the etiquette. So I had to take that headhunting job that at the beginning, Michael Page. I think you
Mm-hmm.
might know them. And then after a couple of months, I was like, I'm not going to do the same thing. I really want to do only sales. I don't want to do sales and recruit people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I started at Uber Eats a couple of months after.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, because to me, headhunting is like the ultimate sales because you have to sell to candidates and also you have to find the employers. So to me, that's kind of the ultimate sell because just as Alex did with you, you need to kind of discover the candidates, know what they really want to, if you can find a match, and then you have to sell the job. So to me,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of I think one of the greatest salespeople can be actually coming from
It's
headhunting.
it's a really, to be honest, I think it's a really nice sales school. Um, um, it's kind of sometimes the Wolf of Wall Street in the way of wearing a suit, pitching, work hard, play hard, etc. Um, but it brings you some basis to go to be able to sell to another sector after.
Hmm. Okay, I feel that's more kind of the culture, the Wolf of Wall Street approach and kind of wearing a suit. But
Yeah, true. There is a culture thing, and there is also the aspect of the job. Indeed, indeed. Selling a human to another human is not easy.
all right, definitely not. No, all right. So you had Alex as a mentor, and then someone at Deliverect maybe that also kind of because there you have a completely other world, another challenge. So I suppose there also you had some
But
mentors, some mentors,
it's yeah, it's for sure Jérôme. Jérôme is the
the
CRO, right?
CRO.
So exactly, it's another type of personality than Alex, but he's pushing me to the extra mile, right? And he knows that on my side that I need to have a challenge, and I want to succeed whatever it takes, right? And he knows how to do it, giving me a lot of. He's also with his experience, right? He did manage. He was a big manager also at Lightspeed, so he had a broad experience. He's also giving me guidance, providing me feedbacks. So he's really helping me on becoming the sales leader I want to be.
Awesome. Well, Harold, I want to thank you very much for your time. I think you're living an amazing experience at Deliverect. I think you have been doing it for the past 18 months, being in a fast growth environment like Deliverect is going through. I think it's amazing. If people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
Excuse me?
When if people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
LinkedIn for sure. Just they can approach me,
You're
or
not
if
getting spammed yet.
since the last fundraising and the unicorn, yes, I'm bidding, but I'm trying to get an answer to everyone, for sure, And if the people are in Ghana and they want to have a grab a coffee and see what is Deliverect, they can always try to come for sure. We are super open on that.
All right.
So.
Love that.
Perfect. To end
Yeah.
this podcast, we have one more question. We ask it at every guest. So, if Harold were a brand, where would it stand for?
If Harold was, excuse me.
If Harold were a brand, where would it stand for?
Good question. If Harold was a brand, what would it stand for? I think I would go for the Olympic Games. It's always higher, always longer, always faster. I would go on that
The
one.
Olympic Games. Dang. A real athlete, basically. Love that one,
Yeah,
Harold.
I was not anymore.
Not
An athlete
anymore.
in sales.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Harold. Thank you for being on the show. You're an amazing guy with an amazing story. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Martin. See you guys.